Who is the most overrated player in the NBA? Bleacher Report recently gave its top 5, and are these players actually overrated? Or maybe they're just undervalued. We give you our take and these top 5 all today on the show here on Heart of Hoops. Jace Andrews joined to my right by my co-host Ryan Breeden. Happy to be back here on another show. And this is an interesting article for sure, and one that I think you're going to have a lot of fun with for sure, Ryan.
I think it's one of the most polarizing topics, right? Overrated, underrated. And I consider myself to be an overrated, underrated connoisseur. I mean, you and I have talked about this exact topic across different areas since we were playing Fortnite in, 8th grade, 9th grade together. And so I feel like I might have maybe some controversial takes on some of these guys, but I think Bleacher Report has some things wrong. I'll just say that.
Well, I think those Fortnite chats are probably the reason we have the show in the first place, to be honest. But
they might be.
Let's kind of start with the first one on the list, and I think we have a pretty similar opinion about this one, but he's the most high-value namesake in my opinion, and it's LaMelo Ball. Now, they rank him as the number 1, quote-unquote, most overrated player. I am kind of the mix that it's more that he plays for the Charlotte Hornets than anything else, but let's start with you and kind of give your take.
Yeah, so LaMelo, he is one of the most used players in the NBA. He's top 5% in the NBA in usage rate. He gets up a lot of shots. I mean, he plays for the Hornets, right? That man's got to carry. There is nothing else there, and that's what he's had to do since he got into the NBA. So what he does is he gets up a lot of shots. He has suffered from efficiency this past year. His efficiency rating has not been nearly as good, right? So that's an area for him. He's going to get you points, 25 points a game, but his net rating is fairly average. Defensively, he's a liability. He's an average rebounder for a guard. He gets flashy assists, but he also turns the ball over nearly 4 times a game. So I get where this argument is coming from, right? And there's certain things he's really great at, but overall, when you look at LaMelo Ball, the number 1 option on the Hornets, he would probably be considered one of the lower tier number 1 options in the NBA. So for right now, I'm going to say that he is overrated. Is he the most overrated player in the NBA? I don't know if I would agree with that. He gets used a ton. He is fairly inefficient right now. I think he's overrated right now, Jace, but give it maybe a year or two, and he might slip back down into the underrated category. That's how this thing tends to go. Players start as overrated when everybody views them that way, then they become underrated, and then the cycle continues on and on and on and on, depending on where they're at in the public eye. I think LaMelo is probably right at the peak of the overrated, and he'll probably be underrated in a couple of years, but for now, I think that's where he stands.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head for the Bleacher Report article because it was a career best this year, 25.2 points per game. But it's the inefficiency that they label as the reason why he's overrated. He has a true shooting percentage of 53.6, which is the 5th worst shooting rate. And I think you kind of put it perfectly. The reason it is that percentage is because he goes up and just flings up shots. He's taking the ball down the court and pulling up right away with 24 seconds on the shot clock. It does not matter to him because he plays for the Charlotte Hornets. He has to carry in some facet. And in some ways, I don't think the Hornets are too mad about it. This is strictly a business perspective, but the Hornets struggle selling tickets a lot of times. They are not in a great market in Charlotte, and LaMelo Ball sells tickets. Yeah, does he turn the ball over a lot with some flashy assists? Yeah, but when they work, are they really, really cool? 100%. He draws a crowd, and so the stuff that he is doing that makes him overrated, I think is way overplayed, and I'd argue in some ways that people should watch him more, and while, yes, he probably throws up more shots than he should, if he's put onto a different team, I think we're talking a completely different story.
So if we're talking overrated, underrated, I don't know if you saw the joke that came out with his tattoo that he did to his
Oh my
foot.
gosh, yeah, the feet. That was horrible.
Is that real, or did we get spoofed?
I honestly have. It seems real from the reports I'm seeing. I don't know, but I can't trust anything on Twitter now. He's got some hot Cheeto toes, is if it's real.
I think you could pull that off, Jace. Get maybe you could do like the hot Cheetos logo on the forehead.
Yeah, just like Cheetos across the forehead. Can I get Chester on the cheek though?
You could do it.
Yeah,
I think it would work.
I mean, hey, if LaMelo can pull it off, surely anybody can, right? Let's talk our second guy here, Tyler Herro. He was ranked number 2.
Yeah.
I think once again, we kind of agree for the most part on this guy. We have one coming up that I don't think we believe, but Tyler Herro, I do think he's overrated. And in the Bleacher Report article, it's kind of, again, the fact that he doesn't play defense and really based on his offensive stats. And he can get hot from 3. And when he does, he looks great. And that is why they're kind of labeling him as overrated, because you see him get hot a couple of games, like, oh, Tyler Herro, he's good. And you see these trade rumors for him, of course, flying around. Obviously, and with KD was, he was talking about going to Miami. Tyler Herro was mentioned in a couple of those trades. So I think this one is actually pretty fair. He's not a good defensive player. He's doesn't have the body type of an NBA player. That's not like I feel like that's kind of rude to say, but it's just the fact of the matter that he just doesn't look like an NBA player out there. And he gets most of his rep from hot nights and hot shooting nights, because for as bad as he can shoot the ball really well when he gets hot.
Yeah, so he actually was right in my backyard pretty much growing up. I went and watched him in high school at Whitnall a handful of times, close to a dozen probably. And he was clearly the best player in the gym, right? And when he was in college, he was kind of streaky, just like he is in the NBA, but you could tell this dude has some major, major upside as a scorer. And that's translated to the NBA, but I think a lot of the inconsistency has as well. Sometimes hustle is a question with him. Sometimes ego is a question with him, and it always has been. He's going to be the type of guy that can get you 40 a night, but it might be once every 2 months. You know what I mean? He will get his points in bunches, but he will have some very disappointing games. You look at what happened in the postseason against the Cavaliers, right? He got called out by Darius Garland, and he basically clapped back and said, oh yeah, we'll see who doesn't play defense after this next matchup. Tyler Herro shot 26% for the rest of that series, right? So he talks a loud game. He backs it up sometimes, but not all the times. And then when you look at value, he'd be available for an extension at the start of the season. It would be October. And the predictions from Bobby Marks at ESPN are that he'd sign a 3-year, $150 million deal. So is Tyler Herro worth $50 million a year? No.
I did not see that report.
Absolutely,
150?
Yeah. Is he worth $50 million a year? No, Tyler Herro is not worth $50 million a year. So in that regard, he's overrated, Jace. I mean, he is. As much as I enjoyed watching him growing up and enjoy watching him play well, just because I can say, I've known him as a player since I was a sophomore in high school. He's overrated, though.
I think it's the same talk we have about some things in baseball where, people can be overrated and still be good. I think Tyler Herro is still pretty good, but he is for sure overrated. That's just the way it is. And, I mean, $50 million is crazy. I did not see that report. If the Heat give them that, I don't know what I would say. But either way, I think Spoelstra's got it figured out. I trust him to make the right decision over there. Our third player is the one that I think will probably be the most controversial in all this. Jaren Jackson Jr. I personally believe that he should not be on this list. I think that over the past 2 seasons, we've seen him grow and flourish as a player, averaging 22 points this past season over his entire season, and then 22.5 his previous season. He's improved since his rookie year, has spent his entire time with Memphis, and I think that a lot of it comes from specifically when he does well, it seems like the Grizzlies don't, but they kind of talk about how he's more of not the greatest rebounder and kind of the other underlying stats are there, but he was an all defensive honoree once. I mean, there's a lot of good defense with him too. So I'm like, I don't see why he's on this list.
So I'm going to say not so fast, my friend, for one reason. The contract. He is being paid like a superstar player. And so the question is Jaren Jackson a superstar in today's NBA? And the answer to that is no. He is not there yet. He is the ideology of what you would want the modern big man to look like. I mean, he can shoot 38% from 3. He's big. He's athletic. But he's missing one thing, Jace. What do big men usually need to do
Yes, I
if
know
they're going
that
to be
the
considered a
rebounding
big
is
man.
not great, especially
He
for a guy like him.
averages 5.5 rebounds a game. I mean,
Yeah, and
what are
that's a
we
big thing with the
doing?
Memphis Grizzlies in total. Because
What
like,
are
I think the way
what?
they've used him is not great either. The way they like use him, especially as a big, I don't think is the right way. But I still, and I'm gonna have this take a little bit later. I don't think a contract is a reason to make them overrated.
Well, it's in comparison to what the market is, right? So you look at, is this player worth the amount that everyone else around him at that pay gap is getting? And Jaren Jackson, he's going to be making $50 million a year for the next 4 years. So you look at the guys that are making $50 million a year over this period of time, right? You got guys like Joel Embiid. You have Jimmy Butler, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, Giannis, Karl Anthony Towns, Jaylen Brown, Devin Booker. And I would take all of those players in a heartbeat over Jaren Jackson. And he's young. I get it. But he kind of is who he is at this point, going into what I think is going to be year 7.
Yeah, it's not gonna change at this point. This is like probably around his prime time era for him.
So he's a big man that can't rebound. He's a inconsistent shooter at best, and most of his points that he does get are assisted points. So he is a great player, don't get me wrong. But is he a superstar? Jaren Jackson Jr.? No, he's not. And I'm a Thunder fan. I watched that series against Memphis, and in 2 out of the 4 games, Jaren Jackson completely disappeared. He shot 37% from the field in that playoff series. He didn't have more than 7 rebounds in a game in any of those 4 games. He was a liability at times, to be honest with you. So I think that Jaren Jackson Jr. is up there for most overrated players in the NBA right now.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. My kind of final put in here is he's 25 years old. Like, that's for having 7 seasons in the NBA and doing what he's doing at 25, I think is more the reason why he got the money because, as we've talked in previous videos, age means more money most of the time. Unless you're Kevin Durant or LeBron James, like you're going to be getting more money when you're younger because they know that there's not going to be a decrease in value. Like you're going to be what you were going to be. And for Memphis, again, I think this may be a little bit of the positioning and location of it. It's not exactly in a big town. Like Memphis has one professional team, and it's the Grizzlies, and Tennessee only has 3 professional teams, and the other 2 are in Nashville with the Predators and the Titans. So I'm not going to say the reason they gave him that money was because a lot of fans and a lot of people don't want to go to Memphis because they do have Ja, but I think that has to sometimes be taken into effect. But I do understand why he was on this list. I don't know. I don't think he should be is kind of my last take.
Yeah, Memphis isn't going to be competing now for a while after you get rid of Desmond Bane. And essentially, you're building around Jaren Jackson, and you have Ja Morant, who
he's a
he is
fluctuating
still
guy. We don't know
he's
what's going
still
on
a
with him.
wild card. He's still a wild card to me. He had the upside of being a top 5 player in the NBA. He never will reach that for things on the court and off the court. That he's just he's not going to have that in him anymore. He's a good player, but Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant being a 1-2 combo for a franchise, you're going to be an upper half team, but you won't be any further than that.
Especially in a Western Conference that's already pretty filled.
Yeah, good luck.
Our number 4 guy is Austin Reaves. I just think I'm going to be a little quick with this one just because I don't think there's much to talk about with him. He's properly rated to most of the people. I think when we talked about this kind of heading into the video, we mentioned how if you're like looking back, he's kind of portrayed as better than he is for sure. Like if you look at news and you look at media and you see Austin Reaves highlights, and especially with him, collabing with LeBron James and the Lakers every single night, it makes him look maybe a little better than he actually is. But I think if you're more of an in-depth NBA fan, which, is kind of what we're making this towards, you probably see that Austin Reaves and his stats don't exactly prove that he is overrated because I don't think of him as a great player. I think of him as a average to mid, type player. Maybe a tad bit above average at times, but overall, I just think he's properly rated.
I agree with that. I think that he's a high tier number 3 scoring option on a franchise, and that's what he is with the Lakers. Now, there's people out there that would argue that he's the best number 3 option in the NBA. And to those of you, I would say stay off the substances.
Yeah, let's not get on Twitter anytime soon either.
Yeah, because when we have guys like Tyrese Maxey and Bradley Beal and even a Chet Holmgren out there, Austin Reaves he's not the
Yeah, I
best
mean,
third
honestly,
option in
there's
the
some
NBA.
teams where he would be closer to a 4 than a 3. Like, it's just.
Well, and the crazy thing is, there also are some teams out there, Jace, where Austin Reaves would be a 2.
Yeah, and that's why I think
And
he's perfectly rated. He's mid. He's going to be a 3 on some teams, a 4 on some teams, maybe even a 2 on some teams. Just what it is.
he fluctuates between being a top tier sixth man or being a solid starter, right? And that's what he was for the Lakers this year. He was a solid starter. He's not spectacular. I think 20 points a game is going to be his ceiling, especially on a team that has Luka Doncic on that team as who will soon become their primary option. I don't even think we saw that really at its best last year just because of everything with the trade and Luka trying to get back to being healthy. And now apparently
we got skinny Luka now.
Now apparently he's lost about 100 pounds. He got rid of the fat suit. He took a page out of James Harden's playbook right there.
He actually wanted to leave Dallas after.
Yeah. Now finally it's revealed.
The truth is revealed now.
He was just stress eating being around Nico Harrison every day.
I saw a tweet today that Texas barbecue was getting to him. So in LA with his Erewhon, he'll be fine.
So what you're saying is all we have to do is we have to get Zion Williamson out of New Orleans, and then he'll become
bro.
One of
you
the
put
best
Zion in LA, that guy will become the skinniest man on planet Earth.
Get that man out of New Orleans.
Maybe his injury proneness will go away too.
Something. I mean, that's a cursed franchise and a cursed player right there. But is Austin Reaves worth $30 million a year? I don't know that he would be. I mean, that's the conversation we had a few days ago about Josh Giddey. And obviously, they're much, much different players. I would trust Austin Reaves more consistently offensively, but in other aspects of his game, I really wouldn't. So pump the brakes on Austin Reaves. He's at best a 1 or 2 time All-Star. And at worst, he's a guy that off the bench can get you 14 to 16 a game. And somewhere in between there is where Austin Reaves really lives. You see both ends of that. He's a good player, and he's in Los Angeles, so he's going to get the publicity. He's pretty properly rated for me. I don't think he's overrated or underrated.
And then our final player, right now he resides in San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox. And they really pin this one on contract value and stating the $50 million plus per year player type thing. Is he worth that? 100% no. But I still think we're putting too much value into a contract more than what the actual player is overrated, underrated. Because, I mean, part of the reason why I think we did this video is because Tyrese Haliburton was voted by the players as an overrated player last year, and we saw what he did this past season. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at Bleacher Reports, but they, in this instance, are looking at a contract, and nothing with a contract has to do with your play on the court. Like it does in terms of how much money you get, but I truly do think like he is, in terms of the eyes of NBA fans, properly rated. Is he getting paid more than he should? Yeah, but I don't think that has to do with watching him be like, oh yeah, De'Aaron Fox is so overrated. Like, no.
Yeah, so he shot his worst from 3 this past season. 32% when he was with the Kings, and then when he got traded to the Spurs, he shot less than 28% from 3, under 20 points a game for the first time since 2018. So his offensive game was kind of trending in the wrong direction by the end of the year. And for a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who he kind of plays more like what you would see from a lot of shooting guards, and he has some ability to facilitate. His offensive game is kind of trending downward right now for me. Now, again, he's still very firmly in the prime of his career. He's not going to be anything special defensively. He's not a liability by any stretch of the imagination, but he's just an average defensive player. And offensively, when you add everything up into there, I don't think he's a $50 million a year player. So on that, I'm going to say that he's overrated. Is he the most overrated player in the NBA? Is he as overrated as Jaren Jackson Jr., in my opinion? No, he's not. But is he probably slightly overrated right now? I would say, yeah. And for that reason, I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs decided not to pay him, right? You have Wemby. You have a posse of young guards there. Does De'Aaron Fox fit into that timeline? It could be one of those type of situations of we win after you type of thing, right? The window starts once you leave type of thing for De'Aaron Fox. He's a great player, Jace, but I think he's overrated.
Yeah, I want to see a full season of him in San Antonio with how much trade rumors was going on, and the Kings were never going to be a good franchise for him. I want to see on like a decent team what he's worth, but I think you're right. If I'm the Spurs, I'm not giving him an extension just yet for specific reasons that you just mentioned. I don't know if he fits the timeline for them, and in some ways, if he doesn't work out this year, then in some ways you question the trade at all for San Antonio because you didn't have Wemby last year with the blood clots. Why? I mean, yeah, I guess you were right around that last bit of the playoffs, but what was the point in making this trade if at the end of the day he's there for a year or two and then you use your draft picks and he's gone? Like you're going to try and trade him this year? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I don't think he's overrated at all. I think he's pretty valuable to a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Maybe on the Spurs, he's probably a little underrated or overrated just specifically because of the position he's in. And the one thing that I will agree with here, people refer to him as a star. I don't think he's a star. I don't think he's like a star in the NBA. But is he a good player, an above average, probably if you're talking first tier stars, second tier, below that, I'm thinking he's right around that second tier, maybe a little bit towards the third tier, but right around there. So I don't think he's necessarily like overrated. It's more just the position he's in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's not a top 20 player in the NBA. I mean, that's pretty obvious. He might not even be a top 30 player in the NBA. He's probably closer to being a good player than he is a great player, but he's not worth $50 million. No. He's not crazy overrated. And he was a clutch player of the year. I forgot about that too. 2022, 2023, he was clutch player of the year. You mentioned Tyrese Haliburton, right? I mean, that dude, I have never seen somebody's soul possessed by the basketball gods more than Tyrese Haliburton.
Well, he gave it all up
in that playoff stretch. Yeah, he sure did.
Hey, unfortunately, eventually had to pay back his dues for all the demon shots he made.
Yeah. As sad it was awful to see it go that way. Even somebody rooting for the Thunder to win Game 7, that sucks.
Yeah, you want to do it with the true hand,
and he'll be out all next year. So we'll
makes
see
the
him
Eastern
back.
Conference a lot less fun to watch.
Yeah. So hey, if you want to be clutch, hit the subscribe button. Goodness, if I could learn how to talk, that would be a good start. Hit the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button. Ryan will learn how to talk for you.
I will. That is a skill that I'm working on. Words and things. They're good. So we're gonna be having more videos for you guys. We're gonna be covering all the NBA news. We're gonna have our thoughts, our opinions on everything going on in free agency, counting down to the extension period. It's gonna be starting up for guys like Luka next week. We're gonna be ready for the season to get going here in a couple of months. So stick with us here on Heart of Hoops. We'll talk to you guys next time.